Seismic charges. Stand by.
Well guys, welcome to the Star Wars Archives, where you will well and truly find the archives are complete. I say we cut the small tour and jump right into another neglected lore topic not widely talked about among Star Wars theorists. Yoda is known as one of the most legendary, renowned and powerful Jedi Masters in galactic history. From a very young age, he was keenly attuned to the Force, and his phenomenal talent was noticed far and wide. From unparalleled wisdom, to highly advanced Force abilities, all the way to intricate lightsaber combat, Yoda grasped all aspects of what it meant to be a Jedi. He trained thousands upon thousands of Padawans, and it's safe to say without him the Jedi would not be the establishment we know it as today. Despite all of this, despite being the Grand Master who seemingly could do it all, one cannot ignore the profound failures that took place under his leadership. Failures so detrimental and catastrophic that millions would perish and lose their livelihoods as a result of an evil opportunistic Sith Empire, who identified the Jedi's weaknesses and acted upon them. And it is in my opinion that this could have all been avoided if those in positions of leadership did not become so complacent and distracted from their core Jedi duties. Could it be that Yoda's seat was too comfy, which in turn conditioned him into complacency and a false sense of security? He sat in the seat for hours on end, engaged in countless discussions which did not seem to formulate into meaningful action to combat the looming suspicion that there was in fact a Dark Lord in their midst. I have broken this video down into 3 stages. Each major failure of Yoda's will correspond with a comfy aspect of his seat, and how I believe this parallels with that particular failure. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Yoda's comfy footrest. It's sculptured to perfection, and is made of cold rock-like materials that would cool your feet off after having walked the streets of Coruscant on a hot summer's day. It is perfectly designed for Yoda's tiddly little toes, and no doubt he would have placed his feet down on it many times. But this is in fact the issue. Yoda could not get his feet off the ground in the literal sense that he did not carry out a more thorough investigation of his strong emotions, which led him to believe there was some calculated Sith activity in their midst. At the beginning of Attack of the Clones, when the Jedi had gathered in Chancellor Palpatine's office to discuss the growing separatist movement, Yoda very foolishly fostered a culture of defeatism.
Do you think it will really come to war?
The dark side clouds everything. Impossible to see. The future is.
One should always have an attitude of optimism, and never be so hasty as to reveal your weaknesses in public, because you never know who's listening. For someone that has been a part of the Jedi for 900 years, I would expect better. Get off your darn footrest and start carrying out some rigorous investigations of this dark side that clouds everything, instead of waiting for the problems to come to you first. The detailed cushion panel. It has 6 different components, each woven and crafted in a way which cushions Yoda, providing him with support from all possible angles. Due to Yoda being of an older age, he probably has difficulties with holding gas, if you get my meaning. The way this cushion arches around his lower body acts as a sound barrier to any noise or sense that may try to escape. The materials are soft and woven using the galaxy's finest cotton, and it is this materialistic comfort that draws him to it day in and day out. In just the same way Yoda probably let it rip into the comfy cushion panel, he also let it rip on battlefields through means of war. Mace Windu once famously said, "Jedi are keepers of the peace, not soldiers." But they took a very contradictory path. These ideals of peace and harmony deteriorated into chaos, leading massive clone armies into bloody battles. Under Yoda's leadership, the Jedi were holding themselves too strongly to a flawed logic, that their Order's allegiance was to the Republic and preserving democracy, which on face value is okay, but the Republic they were so insistent on serving spawned an army out of thin air, displayed obvious signs of systematic corruption, and brought a war to so many planets all in the name of democracy. With Yoda's inability to take action and apply critical thinking, he fostered a culture of blind loyalty to a government institution, putting the Jedi Order in the prime position for their eventual demise. Yoda needed to rely less on the institutional bureaucratic processes of the Senate and place greater weight on the ways of the Force as a means towards galactic peace. Instead, the lasers ripped out of blasters, like the gas ripped out of his excretory region within the council chamber. And lastly, the architectural design. It perfectly fits like a glove around Yoda's overall size and body composition. Every single component of the seat is designed to protect Yoda from possibilities of discomfort. I mean, wouldn't life be so much easier if wherever we went there was a seat that perfectly matched our body size and needs? Yoda was in a very privileged and blessed situation to have this luxury, but the average Joe and those in the undergrounds of Coruscant did not. And this then raises the issue. Yoda perhaps became too focused on how his leadership fitted within the Jedi Order, while forgetting the input of others, like allowing other Jedi more freedom to voice their concerns and initiate action in response to those concerns. I mean, how many times did we see the likes of Operancesis, Dipper Bolivar, Shak Ti, or even Peel speak during Jedi Council meetings? Zilch. Jedi Council meetings were micromanaged by a select few. When the temple had been completely purged and the cries of death had all but ceased, Yoda made his escape into exile. The system that he had so comfortably slotted into for so long crumbled around him. He let fear and shame take over, hopping into his escape pod to Dagobah, leaving the remaining Jedi who had survived Order 66 to fend for themselves. Wouldn't remaining and putting together a more public and concentrated effort to fight the Empire have been a more appropriate option as a Grand Master? What happened to going down with the ship? Sadly, I suspect like the perfect comfort his seat produced for him, he knew he would no longer perfectly fit into the Jedi system that had weakened under Palpatine's rise. To be honest, it's no wonder we don't see him taking his beloved soft red throne with him to Dagobah, where he could have reclined in comfort for the rest of his existence. I mean, I guess that would have meant one less seat for the younglings to hide behind though, as they shouted by themselves in fear, awaiting death at the hands of Anakin Skywalker. Where were you when all this was happening, Yoda? You were soaking up the sun on the tropical oasis of Kashyyyk, hoping your skin would get that little bit greener. In hindsight, it can be said that the principles of peace that Yoda so desperately fought for as a Jedi was very admirable, but along the way there were some glaring failures to come about as a result of both action and inaction. The comfy seats within the council chamber are amazing. A comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there, and the Jedi, put quite simply, were not making a good enough effort to grow within the context of the ever-troubling times they were faced with. So there you have it, Yoda's seat and its detrimental impact on the galaxy. Thanks for watching this video, and I shall see you all in the next. And remember, be happy.
We lost the transmission, sir.